Hello and welcome to this brand new module. Today in this module we are going to talk about the types of leadership and discuss about these leadership in a little bit of detail. Well, do remember with this video module we are also having a lot of reference material attached down below. So don't forget to download it and go through them to have a better understanding as to what we talked about in this entire module. So what are these 8 types of leaderships that we're going to talk about in this video module? First one being the democratic leadership. Second, the autocratic leadership. Third, the strategic leadership. Fourth, the laissez-faire leadership. The transformational leadership, the transactional leadership, a coach style leadership, and last of all, the bureaucratic style of leadership. Now, what are these leaderships all in a nutshell? Let's talk about the democratic leadership. So hello and I welcome you to this section of our Millennium Growth Blueprint, which is actually Enlightened Leadership Framework. And today in this module, we are going to talk about the types of leadership. So in the previous video, you heard me talking about the types of leadership and how type of leadership is actually going to create a better impact inside of their team and groups at the same time. So today in this module, we are actually going to talk about the types of leaders and the forms of leadership that you can find in any kind of an organization, and at the same time use the same techniques as to when you become a leader, you use the effective ways of managing your entire team. So what are these types of leaders? So starting off with the first one is actually democratic leadership. Now what is this democratic leadership all about? So democratic leadership in a nutshell sounds exactly like the name in itself. Herein all the team members get equal opportunity to give out their opinions, share their ideas in the decision making process, and the leaders actually listen from the perspective and the standpoint of taking a better decision. So it is some of the most commonly effective, and it is most effective in any kind of given scenario. Although the decision-making capability or the decision-making power lies with the hand of the supervisor or the leader, since this leadership is actually democratic leadership, it allows the team members or the other colleagues and acquaintances to give their ideas and thoughts while the decision-making process is happening. Also, team members have equal say in any and every kind of decision-making process. So that is what is democratic leadership. Now, the second type of leadership is actually just the inverse of what democratic leadership is all about. The second type of leadership is what we call autocratic leadership. Now, autocratic leadership is just the opposite of democratic leadership, wherein the decision-making power again lies in the hand of the leader, but herein the decision-making ability also is solely dependent upon the leader. The team members are not given or even considered for any kind of opinions while the decision is being formulated. At the same time, everyone has to adhere to the decision that has been taken up by the leader. So if we take an example, let's say if there is a leader who is following this autocratic leadership, which is rarely effective at very rare situations, there might be a situation, let's say the leader takes up a unanimous decision to change the time suddenly for all the employees in the organization and doesn't even consider the people who are coming from really far off places. Now this is going to create a really unhealthy environment for not only the team but for the organization in a nutshell, since the people who are working or the team members who are also working inside the organization won't be able to work more effectively, since they'll be facing some kind of issue and there will be a situation of tense throughout the process. Hence, an autocratic leadership is actually geared towards, it's very rarely effective. At the same time, using this kind of leadership is not going to bring out optimum results from your team members. And this hegemonic leadership is not actually going to be giving you much fruits or desired fruits, because your team members will lose faith on you. They won't be respecting you to the level because they won't feel respected from their own end. So that is what autocratic leadership is all about. Third is the laissez-faire leadership. Now what is this French word? The laissez-faire means let them do. In itself, in literal translation, it allows the team members to do and perform whatever type of activity they want to. The decision-making power is not condensed to the leader, it is spread out to the entire team, and they have their own way of performing tasks and perform different choices while they are working together. It is sometimes effective, not always, and not commonly effective, since taking this kind of a leadership pattern will not bring direct results into an organization, since you still need a driving force, you still need a direction to go out and about to attain or achieve those results which are going to bring profits to the organization. So laissez-faire leadership is good, and it sometimes acts as an effective way of leadership, but is not commonly effective. Okay, so if you take the democratic form of leadership and take it one notch above, it becomes the laissez-faire leadership, wherein everyone gets their say of the choices or the solutions or the ideas that they have to cater to any kind of situation, and then they are the ones who take the action. So it is one step above the democratic leadership. Now let's talk about the other format of leadership, which is the strategic standpoint. Now strategic leadership is a little bit of a stringent format, wherein the leader is geared towards bringing more and more growth to the company, and it is paramount to the entire leadership format to bring better results for the company in itself. So for that matter, this type of leadership is actually very commonly effective and very much productive in a nutshell, because this is geared towards taking the organization or taking the entire decision making process to newer heights. This brings stability inside of the system, since the decision making power being condensed to the leader, at the same time geared towards the growth of the company, will allow the leader to take decisions for the sake of betterment of the companies, for the sake of betterment of the entire team. So if you fall under this kind of leadership, or if you happen to go under a leader who is practicing strategic leadership, you'll end up learning so much more about better optimization of resources, better optimization of capabilities and abilities of the team members who are working inside the organization. All these things are going to condense inside this strategic leadership. Also, there is a little bit of a hairline difference here, that these leaders set a dangerous precedent with respect to how many people they can support at once. So there might be situations where the leader actually makes really strong decisions for the entire team, because everything that the leader takes in under this kind of leadership is geared towards bringing more and more growth to the company or the organization. Okay, so now the leadership that we are going to talk here is actually transformational leadership. Now what is this leadership? This is again in between democratic and laissez-faire, but having that simple touch of affecting the employees at the employee level. Now this is a very dynamic form of leadership in a nutshell. Employees have a defined and dedicated task that they have to complete throughout their week and month, or every day for that matter, and the team members who are inside this kind of a leadership are constantly pushed to break their comfort zones and to bring out better results and better working capabilities inside of themselves. So this kind of leadership actually pushes the individuals or the employees in themselves to bring out better results from within themselves, and better results will actually help them to improve upon their own capabilities and abilities. And that is what is all about transformational leadership. So transformational leadership, again in a nutshell, is a very dynamic format of leadership, wherein the leader is concerned towards not only productive growth of the organization, but also helps the individuals at the team member level grow with their own capabilities. So this is also sometimes effective, not always is going to be effective, because many a times just because you are giving that liberty to the team members, there might be situations that they might go off the track. So it has to be kept in check. But in a nutshell, this is also a very good format of leadership, wherein the leader actually puts his faith to push the employees out of their comfort zone to do tasks that are going to help them to grow in their own professional way. So that is what is transformational leadership. Now coming to the next segment, that is the transactional leadership. This again is also sometimes effective and sometimes ineffective, proves to be ineffective, because there is a type of transaction associated with this kind of leadership. Now, so let's consider an example for this kind of a leadership. So let me explain you with an example of what transactional leadership is all about. So let's say there is an incentive parameter that has been set for the marketing department to get leads, and to close leads. That is where the transactional type of leadership comes up, wherein the leader actually wherein the leader or managers reward their employees for the type of task that they have been doing, for the task that they have done. These team members might receive an incentive plan that motivates them to quickly master their regular tasks. So by giving these incentives, the team members also get an energy to do and more tasks and to be more productive, just because of that lucrative incentive that is lying just ahead of themselves. This leader helps to establish better roles and responsibilities for each of the employees. Now, giving responsibilities and roles to each of the employees becomes much easier when there is a set incentive that is defined for every individual. So this will actually help the employees work in a much more efficient way, but it is also at some point sometimes effective, not all the time, because if you start to give incentive at every point or every stage of their work, it is going to make their mindset a bit more crammed up, because they'll then, for any kind of task that they have to do, wait for an incentive. So this is also a good format to encourage the employees to do their best or to take a leap out of their comfort zone. But once you blend in transactional and transformational leadership with a little bit of laissez-faire leadership, it is actually going to help you a lot. There will be a better and a very positive nature and vibe throughout the leadership process. So that is where transactional leadership comes into picture. Now we are going to talk about the coach style leadership. Now what is this type of leadership? Now we have heard about coaches. Coaches train their participants in any football match, let's say example. Coach style leadership is also very commonly effective and is very much effective in nature. Why? Because herein the leader is very much geared and very much leaning towards the growth of the individual employee at the same time. So this leader focuses on identifying and utilizing and nurturing the individual's strength of each member of their team. It is similar to what we see in any kind of sports team coach. At the same time, this kind of leadership is derived from democratic and strategic leadership standpoint. And once you mix all these three, the coach style leadership, the democratic leadership and the strategic leadership, you are going to see results that are unprecedented. Because once a leader starts to prepare their own employees to be their best version and then is geared towards bringing growth inside the company, and at the same time giving their employees the voice to listen to their ideas and their thoughts, it's actually the best permutation and combination for any kind of leader to be inside an organization, and the organization is then bound to have better output and better productivity and better results in a nutshell. So that is where the coach style leadership actually comes into picture. And the final and the last 8th point of leadership is what we call bureaucratic leadership. Now, bureaucratic leadership is rarely effective these days because this pattern of leadership is actually very stringent. Now, you might find this kind of leadership in organizations that have been very old yet successful, because the leaders that are inside this kind of organization or these old organization go by the books. They follow the rules. They don't take any excessive measures to go out of the way and take new decisions, because they still have proven methodologies, proven techniques to get the results. So they are quite stringent in when it comes to taking up decisions, taking up new solutions to the problem. So they prefer to go by the books. They prefer to go and play by the rules, because they have already seen productive results with the same kind of choices that they had made in the past. And since that kind of leadership has worked for them, they try to strive for the same kind of choices that they had made in past and do the same thing in the future. Hence, it is something that is really effective in these days, because the employee then doesn't actually gets connected to the organization. It works as a very mechanical format of leadership, if you take it in that sense. And since this starts to happen, the employees start to lose their interest in the work that they are doing, because neither there is appreciation for what they are doing, neither there is any kind of help that is being given or imparted towards the employees for their own nurturing and growth, and neither is there any of voice that they have for giving up their ideas. There might be situations wherein the leader might take up inputs from the leaders, but it is highly rare incident wherein they will follow a new methodology, or they'll take, and there will be hardly any situation wherein they'll take up newer decision making capabilities or newer ideas to cater to any kind of a problem. So these were the types of leadership that we discussed inside of this module. I hope you had a great learning and understood how different type of leadership work inside of any organization, and at the same time understood what type of leadership you should cater to or you should become once you reach to that position. I hope you had a great learning going through the entire module. I hope to catch you in the next module. Till then, it's me, Ayush Banerjee, signing off for this one. Okay, so what are the types?
Down below की है, down और below कैसे नहीं निकले?
Well, do remember guys, we are having a lot of resources.
Why only guys?
Third one is the laissez-faire. Second one, the autocratic leadership. Leaderships that we're going to talk about in this video module. So now let's take a look. Leadership. Fifth is the